Welcome to Talking WoW, the podcast where we talk about World of Warcraft, believe it or not. My name is Tom, and today we're going to be talking about not World of Warcraft. So I don't know why we're calling the show Talking WoW. Well, we kind of are, because we are talking about Blizzard's newest mobile game and Warcraft's first real venture into that genre. We're going to be giving an honest review about Warcraft Rumble. And to do that, we have got microtransaction extraordinaire on the show, Dusty. Hey, Dusty, welcome back. You're becoming a bit of a piece of the furniture of this show right now.
Well, as long as I'm not a shirt chair, I'll be okay. I don't need you guys throwing shirts at me. But I'm glad to be here. I don't know if I like that title because that insinuates that I have spent money on many microtransactions, which I can confirm, as can my wife confirm that I definitely have done that before. But hopefully I can get away from that.
And also here is Marty. Hey, Marty.
Hello. I still have all my money.
So yeah, Warcraft Rumble finally came out. And well, first question, do you all have phones?
Yes, I do.
I have been known to dabble sometimes with phones.
Good. So we can continue. So yeah, 2023, the year of the Warcraft Rumble. I know Marty actually got early access to Rumble because they were testing it out in a few regions and they decided, you know what, let's head over to Denmark. People there with their, pockets full of kronas. That's the Danish currency, by the way, Dusty, just to keep you in the loop there. And they'll be ready to spend it all on our mobile game. But Marty, let's start with you. Let's start with your first impressions into the world of Warcraft Rumble, because you got to try it out first.
I did get to try it out first. I think my initial reaction was very much like, yeah, this looks pretty good fun, but seems a little bit grindy. And then I put the game away for a little while.
What about you, Dusty?
Yeah, so I have this thing that I do when there's a mobile game, which there's very few that I've done this for. I actually can't remember the last time I did this. I will sign up for another region's app account on my phone, and I will download the game early just to kind of get a look at it, kind of what it is. So I did that, played a little bit. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, you mean you moved to Denmark? Is that
I
what
moved
you did?
I moved to Denmark, and I was in the snowy Denmark like Marty right now. But I can tell you that I played it and I liked it. And once it kind of did the global release, I downloaded it and I was like, okay, this is the normal mobile game with the Blizzard polish. And so I've definitely been playing a decent amount of it.
I think they actually nailed the launch window here because it came right smack dab the day before BlizzCon happened, and I think it actually ended up getting released a day earlier. So it was just, everyone was really hyped. Everyone was really hyped about Warcraft. Everyone was just, you heard people traveling to Anaheim. They had downloaded Rumble on their phone. They were in a great place. And I think there was a bit of a feel-good factor around this mobile launch when you perhaps look back on, a certain Diablo game, Dusty, that was once almost a headline announcement at BlizzCon, that they definitely handled this a little bit differently, didn't they?
Yeah, I was trying to think of a comparison to that, of what it would be like in the WoW community. And what I was thinking is, imagine if there has been a 3 or 4 year gap between WoW expansions, and they get up on stage at BlizzCon, and instead of announcing the War Within or whatever the next expansion is, they get up there and announce a mobile game. So they definitely learned from their mistakes in that the Rumble is an accessory and a companion to their main games, as opposed to people were salivating over Diablo news and Diablo 4, and what they got was a mobile version of Diablo, which, by the way, looking back at it, I've played a decent amount of Diablo Immortal. It's not a bad game. Is it pay to win? Is it crummy in all the ways mobile games are? Yes, but it has the Blizzard polish, and it's not a bad game. the way they released it and announced it was awful, and they definitely learned from their mistakes.
I'm just picturing an alternative universe where Chris Mattson's up on stage and he goes, "We're not just going to announce the next mobile game for Warcraft, we're going to announce the next 3. Oh, that just sent a shiver down my spine.
And it's like StarCraft Tower Defense, Warcraft Rumble, and like a Hearthstone spinoff. I don't know what it would be. That would be, that'd be great.
So yeah, Warcraft Rumble came out and into the palm of our hands. And just to, I guess, give a bit of a basics on what Warcraft Rumble actually is, in case you haven't heard about it. It's a fast-paced strategy game where they're basically saying they want you to have chaotic fun, and you have a army that you assemble with units. You have a leader, a hero there, one of the main characters from World of Warcraft. You got like Jaina Proudmoore, Baron Rivendare. I don't know why that's a main character, but there we go. And you basically build a army of these minions that all have different abilities. And the way I'm actually talking about it to myself right now, I'm like, oh, this sounds pretty good. This sounds quite interesting. And something pretty cool about the game is that they've transferred the world of Azeroth, Eastern Kingdoms, and Kalimdor to start with, and you go for those zones, and you like fight bosses, don't you, from various zones in World of Warcraft. They have it really nicely done in the UI. And that was one of my first impressions of the game, was like, oh, there's Warcraft. Like, there's the Warcraft I know. There's these zones, and there's a lot of like characters in here that I know and love.
Yeah, as I mentioned, it has the Blizzard polish. The UI is great. They've spent time and effort. This isn't just one of your run-of-the-mill mobile games. I mean, it looks great. It sounds great. When you push and tap things, they do what you think that they're going to do. The map of Azeroth is really good looking, but it does have those trappings of a mobile game, which I'm sure we'll get into. But I just want to ask you guys, like, now that I don't know how long we are out from the global release, is this game part of your daily routine? Are you just getting on it when you're on the pot? Like, where is it right now in your routines?
I said that I did put it away quite fairly quickly, but I did return to it. And when I returned to it, I actually did play it quite a bit, and I unlocked some more features and things like that, and it actually started to become a little bit more of a entertaining game for me. So for a while, I actually did play it quite a bit, and then I went around BlizzCon. I went traveling to visit Tom, and I found out that you need to be online all the time to be able to play this game, and that's just like, hey, I'm sitting on a plane right now, perfect time to play a game and kill some time, and I just couldn't play it. So that was a bit of a downer. But I would say that around that time I did play it a lot, but I think shortly after I came home from BlizzCon, I just forgot about it. So I haven't really played it. It's not in my routine at all. I haven't really played it since.
I had the pleasure, I suppose I could say, Dusty, of watching Marty play Warcraft Rumble, and I tell you, that gave me a good insight to how Marty maybe feels about Warcraft Rumble when he's playing Warcraft Rumble.
He was saying some bad words.
There was some, audible sighs and, some words that I absolutely could not repeat on this podcast. That would be,
because it was Danish swear words you don't understand. So
yeah, I didn't understand them, so I couldn't even repeat them. But I think I don't know if we want to like move into this now, because the initial sort of thoughts for myself as well, I was very much like, oh, this seems fun. Like, I remember it got that early release, and that first night I was sitting on it for like 2 hours. I was like, oh, this is so addictive. This is, it's getting its hooks into me. I can see myself maybe playing this for quite a while. And I think it's usually quite obvious. I don't know about you two, but when you pick up a mobile game, and it's about that seamlessness of getting you into the action without all the fluff that a lot of mobile games have. And I thought, well, actually, it's got me into the gameplay. I'm playing the game, and I was progressing through levels really nicely. And I was like, oh, this, this is fun. Like, this is good. I'm enjoying this. And again, because I feel like the quality of mobile games out there is quite low. the bar is very low, that when something comes along that goes above that bar, it's actually very obvious to me that that is something I want to put my time in.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to the mobile game kind of market, me personally, the only mobile game that I was playing recently, the past year, is Marvel Snap, which is funny because it is, from a development team that has a lot of ex-Blizzard employees. Ben Brode, the guy that, started Hearthstone, is the guy, kind of at the head of Marvel Snap. And I love Marvel Snap. It's a great game, but it also has the trappings of mobile games. I will say that I have played Rumble on and off. It's not part of my daily routine by any means. Now, Snap is. I'll get on almost every day and do the dailies. Takes about 10 minutes. I found that the gameplay of Rumble just wasn't exactly, I don't know. I played Clash Royale. I played the games similar to it. And I think that I will continue playing Rumble just for the PvE aspect of getting through the maps. And seeing kind of the different levels and terrains and areas that they release. But I did spend the $20 on the extra XP and gold. That's the only money I've spent on it. It kind of doubles what you earn XP-wise, which I can say it definitely makes a big difference because I've saw some people online do the same things that I did, and I was much further along as far as the minis leveled up on my account. So I have already said I will not spend any more on the game because I don't think that it's something I want to do, but I don't regret that purchase. It's kind of helped me progress, and I've definitely put in, I don't know how many hours, but a good many hours of it. But I will say I have been sick the past week, and you would think that I'd be playing a lot of mobile games, and I said to myself, well, I'll lay in bed and play Rumble or whatever it may be, but I've never had a Steam Deck, and I got the new Steam Deck OLED, and that's all it wrote. Like I have not looked at my phone. So that definitely kind of hurt my Rumble playing, but I definitely will continue playing it.
I think that is the frustrations that I'm actually having, and which I think because I haven't spent money on it, so I'm probably the Reddit poster to read about that I was doing the same things as you, but I'm not as far along, and it is very frustrating sometimes, especially with some of the dungeons and stuff, because you can only use specific heroes for those. So I don't necessarily have those heroes leveled up, and having to level them up is just so time consuming, and it's not necessarily fun gameplay to do. So that is why I'm saying that it feels very, very grindy to me, especially probably because I have not spent money on it. So, and that's if the base game like that is like that, then I'm just getting turned off by that. So,
and the way that they get you in is early on, the minis from like levels 1 to 6 or 7 is really quick. I mean, you'll get in there, you get the mini unlocked, and then you do a couple maps, and all of that XP you'll be, it's kind of like Vampire Survivors. If you guys have ever played that, it's kind of like a slot machine, right? Things kind of go everywhere. Your minis are leveling up, but you get to that 7, 8, 9, 10 level of your minis, which is where you need them to get to as you further advance the campaign. And it takes a long time. And like what Marty said, the grinding just isn't fun. It's not like it's not a fun thing to do. And so at least like when you're playing Marvel Snap or a game like that, the majority of it is PvP. And so you are continually not worrying about unlocking things, and they had their own issues in that game, but you're unlocking like collectibles and visuals that are just for cosmetic purposes, right? I'm not grinding, for specific gameplay unlocks or things of that nature like you are in Rumble.
Yeah, and I think like one of the things I was surprised about was I hit that wall very, very quickly. Like I hadn't played Warcraft Rumble that much in comparison to like how I maybe played, the likes of Marvel Snap or Hearthstone before I ever, thought maybe I need to spend some money on this. It was like within a few days, I was like, oh, okay, so I've literally hit the wall now where I just have to start grinding these minis up, need to gain levels here to continue. And that for me disheartened me because the game is being advertised as a strategy game. And while there is a little bit of strategy there, it actually doesn't feel to me like there is. It's more, you just have to overpower the levels or overpower the opponent that you're playing. And it's when you do that, there's not really much emphasis on where you place stuff, because there's various lanes that you can place your minis. And I always find, like, yes, there's a little bit of that, but it doesn't feel like it's that impactful. Do you feel like that, Marty?
I agree with you for most of what you're saying, except I don't think you have played Scarlet Monastery, because holy crap, I hated that one. Because you have to, how is it? You have to kill both of them roughly at the same time, while you also have to manage their your minions that they're sending down the lane. And that one was one where I was like, that's when all the Danish swear word came out. That specific one, holy crap. But when that is said, there are a few selected places, like places in the like one of the maps in the dungeons that I've played. Some of those open world quests or whatever have a little bit of tactics you need to do, but overall, I think if you can just overpower your opponent, then that tactics works 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, you can just brute force your way through a lot of it, but there is some strategy, and it was hard for me to determine whether or not I was getting better at the game or if I was just over-leveling what I was doing, because I'm a person, I mean, we're gamers, right? We play video games, not just WoW and Rumble. So, you know, when we get into a game, I don't know if you guys do this, but you do a little bit of research. You look up research and you see what builds are out there and what works and what doesn't. And there were times where I would just steamroll over the level, and then I would kind of advance along in the campaign, and I kind of would run into a roadblock, and I would, you know, try to look online what the different build guides would be. And it's very discouraging when you look up the build guides and the best builds for that map is for a leader that you don't have, right? And especially, like, I've spent money, so I probably have more leaders unlocked than you guys. But let's say you get to that and you need Baron Rivendare for this, you know, specific level, or Tyrion or whoever it is, and you don't have them, or they're very under-leveled, and then you've got to grind them up, you know? So I just wish there was a way that you could have everything just unlocked.
Yeah, I mean, if we're moving into, like, how we make this better, and I know what I'm about to say is never going to happen, but I've been, like, comparing Warcraft Rumble a little bit to Hearthstone, and I sort of wish that, you know, when you unlocked a mini, you didn't have to level it up. Like, you just had a mini and it just did something. It provided you a benefit. You know, it was like a Hearthstone card, Dusty. It's like, you know, it's like a common card in Hearthstone where it does something, and maybe you have minions that are, you know, you have slightly different rarities of minions, and your leader would be like a legendary, you know, and they're a bit more harder to obtain. But it's already hard to obtain these things without, you know, spending money, or even spending money like you have. So then you put on top of that, hey, you got to level all these things up individually. And hey, there's a talent system in there, which I actually think the talent system is pretty cool. Like, that could still be, like, if it was just the talent system and you had to, like, unlock talents, maybe that, you know, it's just so many layers of complexity that is added to this, which I get it. It's a mobile game, and they've just gone, like, full, let's, you know, do all those things. And I think that's got me feeling a bit down about it, because I'm like, usually Blizzard come into the mobile space, you know, with Hearthstone, for example, that was just an absolute breath of fresh air. And I'm not saying Hearthstone doesn't have its problems with regards to, you know, monetization and acquiring things. However, when Hearthstone came out, a lot of people, you know, Marty, I'm looking at you, we all came into that game, and you could have had a lot of fun with that game for a long time before you ever thought, hey, I need to spend money on this. Like, and there was a way, like you're saying, Dusty, to actually measure your skill to see if you're getting better. Like, you're playing other people, and, you know, you were losing a lot of games, and suddenly you're starting to play things better, and then you're winning. I feel like with Rumble, it's just impossible to ever really know if that's the case.
I wonder if they could have done it differently, in that instead of upgrading or leveling them up per se, it was more of a cosmetic unlock. You know, I hate to keep bringing up Marvel Snap, but the way they do it, for those people who have never played that game, is that once you own a card, you own that card forever. Whether they nerf it, they buff it, they very rarely ever change what a card does. The only thing that you do when you level that card up is you level it up aesthetically. So you level it up and it gets like a green, blue, purple, orange, red border on it. And then once you get to that max level, it's kind of like back in the day of Call of Duty when you would prestige, the card will split and you get a different, kind of cosmetic added to it, like a red sparkle, or like the ones that people really love are like the golden cards or the black and white, right? So they have all these different splits that you can do. They could have really leaned into that with Warcraft. Let's just say you level up your Tauren mini, and when you got to, instead of the power creep, it would be, well, they get a new outfit or they get a new weapon or they get something aesthetically. People would still buy and spend money and they would still do that, but there would be no grind.
Warcraft players like buying cosmetics, doing things like that, that's unheard of, isn't it, Marty? Like people wouldn't buy cosmetics, would they?
I have most definitely never bought anything cosmetic for World of Warcraft, and I might also be lying a little bit right here.
What do you think, Marty? What do you think about Dusty's take there? Because I'm very much of the agreement. Like, as someone that's played a bit of Marvel Snap, and I haven't played too much of it recently, but I played it for like a year solid. And if Marvel Snap had a thing in where you had to level cards up and they increased in power, I would have ditched that game after a week, probably, not even. And the fact that it wasn't like that, I know you also got quite invested into Marvel Snap as well. We actually both spent money in Marvel Snap because, it was a fun game to play. And sometimes mobile games are fleeting. They come along at a time and you mash those fingers for a little bit. But when a game comes along that it's so, predatory that way, that you just feel like you don't want to ever spend money on it because you're never going to get to a place, right? You're never going to get to a place where you're satisfied unless you drop a lot of money. But then why would you want to do that?
I have played, as you said, some Marvel Snap. I even feel for a mobile game, I've played a lot of Marvel Snap. And I have spent money on that game. And I like that idea where that you level up different kind of versions of it and so much more, because for all of the reasons that we mentioned, that once you have that card in Snap, for instance, then it's up to you to figure out what to do with it and how to play it, and then it's your skill and you can figure out better ways to do it, and you can definitely see if you're getting better or not in the rankings and things like that. And I don't have, the game was so much fun that I was like, you know what? It's so much fun. I'm spending so much time on it. I don't mind, now starting to spend a little bit of money on it as well because obviously I also know that Warcraft Rumble is for free. You can just go download it and they have to make the money some way. And so if I come across a mobile game where I'm spending a lot of time, I'm really enjoying my time in there, then I don't mind spending money because I want to support, the developers and everybody who has a livelihood from this. But when it comes to something where whatever you are paying for is power, then or way to increase that power, then I'm out of here.
I just want to quickly say before you go, Tom, because I'm just really quickly, the scary thing is we can already see a pattern that they're going to do both, because the unlock for getting the premium BlizzCon thing was you got a skin for your towers as well as your little gold miner guy. So it's not like they're not going to lean into the cosmetic side of things either. So, to me, it just feels bad when they're trying to do both.
Yeah, what I was going to say was as well that, probably somebody listening to this might go, yeah, but they need to make money. They need to make it profitable. They need to do these things to get the dollar bills in. And I'll just say, again, just comparing to Marvel Snap's made over $100 million. And it, while it's not a perfect game either, it does not have this sort of, like you say, power creeping of your cards. It's just once you got the card, that's it. You own it. Then there's vast amounts of cosmetics that you can unlock for a certain thing as well. So I don't necessarily think like this needs to be a strategy to make money, because you can still make money on games without going, totally over the top with just what you need to grind as a player. And let's also just, flip the coin. There's going to be people out there that love that sort of thing. People love just to grind stuff out, see how far they can progress. And, I've heard, rumors, and, if you're listening to this and you're one of those people, let us know that there's people out there that are just very much enjoying Warcraft Rumble. And, we're definitely not here to, poop on your parade. If you are enjoying Warcraft Rumble, like, that is great, like, fantastic.
Absolutely, and I mean, this is my opinion, and this is how I decide to spend my time. And I just don't think I cannot see myself spend too much more time with Rumble, I'm afraid. Even though I want to, because it's a Warcraft game, and I love the franchise.
I think that I will continue playing the PvE campaign, and I will get to the end of that, hopefully, eventually, because I do enjoy the minute-to-minute gameplay of what the game is asking you to do. It's just how they've structured everything and the unlocks and what seems to be just that overall grind that we've been talking about today. So it certainly won't be kind of my daily mobile game by any mean, but I certainly will finish it out and see the new zones that they release. I also think something we haven't talked about as we close today is that at BlizzCon, I watched that entire What's Next panel for Rumble, and holy cow, it's not like they're going to just release this and dump it. I would not be surprised if we saw some major changes if they don't make the money they want to make, or if they see people dropping off quickly. Blizzard is not one to kind of rest on their laurels. They will improve it. They'll make it better. Hopefully, fingers crossed, right? But they're going to release raids. They're going to release, new different things. I just think that you're going to have to invest a ton of time to ever see a lot of that content.
Which also makes me think as well, because, your market for this is, while it is World of Warcraft players, essentially it's also not World of Warcraft players. And that's the thing. It's like some people might come across Rumble and they go, oh, it's not for me. But you know what? I like that little kobold that when you play me goes, money, money. And, I want to go see where that kobold comes from. And then, you've got people maybe going from there and playing World of Warcraft because they go, actually, World of Warcraft's far less grindy than this mobile game, so I'll maybe put my time there instead. So it's also potentially an entry for people to get into the Warcraft franchise. And I know I was very excited when like World of Warcraft had a crossover event and we had this Rumble table in, the various inns, or, they even put one in Stormwind Harbor right here. I don't know, I think, was that a misplacement or something? You could have found a better place for this, but here we are. And, I think it's cool when we have like crossover events from the other games as well, especially something so closely, knit with Warcraft Rumble. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I've just been left feeling very disappointed from, having, I wouldn't say I had high expectations, but, it's got the Warcraft name on it. So I like Warcraft, and yeah, I'm just coming away from it feeling disappointed, and probably a lot sooner than I thought I would be, because my initial, first few hours in there were like, oh, this is great. Like, I don't think I've installed a game on my phone and then played it for like, 2-3 hours straight instantly, which, is testament to how they get you interested, but, it just falls off so quickly.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing we haven't talked about is just the gateway to WoW. Like, why wouldn't you want to use the millions and millions and millions of phones that people have in this free game? I'm very surprised there isn't more cross promotion of like a pop-up like, hey, do you want to, instead of paying $20 to get access to this fast leveling, why don't you click on this link, sign up for BattleNet, you get a free month in WoW, and when you go do that, we'll give you a month's worth of this expedited. There's ideas that they could do to cross-promote a lot better than what they're doing.
Someone at Blizzard right now is taking notes, Dusty.
I take checks.
That is what we thought about Warcraft Rumble. An honest review from 3 honest players. But what about you? What did you think, listener? You can let us know in the places that you can do that. And we, again, want to thank Dusty for joining us on the show. We know we had to postpone this recording because you weren't feeling too good, but we're glad we could, get get you well rested enough to join us today. So we really, really appreciate that, Dusty.
Glad to be here, guys. Hopefully we can do it again soon.
I've been Tom. That's been Marty. That's been Dusty. And we've been talking Rumble.
Thanks for tuning in, champion. Did you enjoy this episode of Talking WoW? If so, why not drop a review on your podcast catcher of choice or leave us a comment? You can find Talking WoW on Twitter or YouTube over at Talking WoW. Hope to see you again soon.